Welcome back. We are here today doing some more work with ratios, and we are going to start on page 261 in your journal. So, in 9 through 14, you're going to use this data to write a ratio for each comparison in 3 different ways. So remember that you can show a ratio either with the semicolon, you can write it so it looks like a fraction, or you can just use the word 2 in between the numbers. And the way that you write the ratio also, you start with the first number that's mentioned and then the next one. So for number 9, it says the 0 positive donors to the A positive donors. So if you look over here, 0 positive is 90 and A positive is 45. So that means it's 90 to 45, and I wrote it all 3 different ways. So you're going to go ahead and do that same thing for all of those problems. And then for 15 and 16, you're going to, they give you the ratio, and you're going to write which blood types they're comparing. So this one says 90 to 9. So which one is 90? O positive. And then you'll look at which one is 9, and that will be the other one represented. Okay, so go ahead and do 9 through 16 to get on your own, and then come back and check your answers. Okay, let's take a look. So we did number 9. You could do it, write it 3 different ways. So it could also be 90 to 45 like that, or 90 with the word 2 and 45. And for number 10, it's 4 to 6, all 3 of those ways. For number 11, it's 20 to 195. You can write it all 3 ways. And for number 12, it's 9 to 21, all 3 ways. Number 13 is 65 to 6. And for number 14, it's 2 to 4. Now, for 15 and 16, where they gave you the ratio, for number 15, O positive to O negative donors. For number 16, it was B positive to A negative donors. All right, let's take a look at number 17 and 18. Sam is packing gift boxes with fruit. For each apple, he packs 3 plums and 5 oranges. If he puts 3 apples in a box, how many plums and oranges will Sam put in the box? Draw a diagram to solve the problem. So they've got this drawing for you, or illustration over here, showing you the ratio. So this ratio has got 3 numbers that it's comparing, right? 1 to 3 to 5. Now if you increase the 1 and make it 3, do you like my drawing of apples? Now there's 3 apples, so how many plums should there be and how many oranges should there be? So solve that one. And then also this one here, 18. Write a ratio that compares the the number of teal squares to the total number of squares in the quilt. So this is a part compared to the total. So the total includes the part. So here we've got teal squares, we've got purple squares, and then we've got the total squares all together. So write a ratio that's the number of teal to the total. And finally, Rita's class has 14 girls and 16 boys. How does the ratio 14 to 30 describe Rita's class? Think about what we were just talking about. Part to part to total. Okay? So do those 3 problems, and then unpause the video when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, so here's what I did for this one. 3 apples. That means that each one of these is going to count for 3. And each one of these is going to count for 3 because we multiplied this by 3, so we're going to multiply each plum by 3 and each orange by 3. This is the way I chose to show it. And when you do that, you end up with 9 plums and 15 oranges. Okay? Now, ratio of teal squares compared to all the squares. There are 18 teal squares and there's 24 squares altogether, including the teal and the purple squares. All right, for this one, Rita's class is 14 girls and 16 boys, and then we have this ratio of 14 to 30. Well, it's not comparing girls to boys, right? Because there's only 16 boys. But what it is comparing is the number of girls to the total number of students in the class, both boys and girls. See here, when you total that up, it equals 30. So it's saying out of the 30 students, 14 are girls. All right, let's take a look at the next page. A math class surveyed students about their musical preferences and recorded the results in the table. Use the data to write a ratio for each comparison in 3 different ways. Students who prefer classical to students who prefer techno. Students who prefer hip hop to total number of students surveyed. So here's the table. 10 prefer rock, 4 prefer classical, 12 prefer techno, 15 prefer hip hop, 8 prefer country, and 4 prefer alternative. And so the first one, you're going to compare classical to techno. And the second one, you're comparing hip hop to everything. Okay, so think about how to show those ratios. Now for number 21, we've got construct arguments. Justin used blocks to model the following situation. A car dealership sells 7 cars for every 4 minivans it sells. How can Justin use his model to find the number of minivans the dealership sells if it sells 35 cars? So with problems like these, really it gives you a ratio to start out with, and then it gives you one part of an equivalent ratio, and your job is to figure out the missing part of the equivalent ratio. So if you look at this one, I would write that ratio as 7 to 4. 7 cars to 4 minivans. Now let's move down in the problem. How can Justin use this model to find the number of minivans the dealership sells if it sells 35 cars? So the 35 is about cars, so that matches up to the 7. So now we've got 7 to 4, and we've got 35 to, this is what we're missing. So just like you would solve an equivalent fraction problem, you would say, well, what did I have to multiply 7 by to get it to equal 35? And the answer would be 5. So what do I have to multiply 4 by? You have to multiply it by 5, and you would end up with 20. So that means that the answer to this is 20 minivans. If they sell 35 cars, then they should sell 20 minivans. Okay, make sense and persevere. The ratio of adult dogs to puppies at a park on Monday was 3 to 2. There were 12 puppies there that day. On Tuesday, 15 adult dogs were at the park. What is the difference between the number of adult dogs at the park on Monday and Tuesday? Okay, think about that one. And then for number 23, higher order thinking. At 9:30 a.m., Sean started filling a swimming pool. At 11:30 a.m., he had filled 1,800 gallons. At what time will the pool be full? Where's the ratio in this? Weren't we working on ratios? It is there. So let's take a look at this. It's 9:30 a.m. to begin with, and then it's 11:30. So that's 2 hours, right? And in 2 hours, he filled 1,800 gallons. if you look over at the illustration, it takes 4,500 gallons to fill the pool completely. So where's our beginning ratio in here? 9:30 to 11:30 was 2 hours. And in 2 hours, we filled 1,800 gallons. Now, at what time will the pool be full? Well, full is 4,500 gallons or 4,500 gallons. Okay, so I've set that much up for you. I want to see if you can figure out the rest on your own and then come back and check your answers, okay? Now let's look at these last couple of problems. Of the students taking a foreign language class, 8 students take Spanish for every 5 students who take French. This is represented in the diagram below. Okay, so there's Spanish, there's 8, and French, 5. All right, now explain how you can use the diagram to find the number of students who are taking French if there are 72 students taking Spanish. Okay, now it wants you to use that diagram. So we've got 8 boxes here, and if we're looking at our original ratio, which is 8 to 5, then each one of these boxes is just equals 1 student, right? 8 boxes, 1 student each, that's 8 Spanish students. But in this problem, it's saying 72 students taking Spanish. So if we want to use this diagram, and we've got 8 boxes, what could we make each box be worth in order to have it equal 72? And once we decide that, we could make each box of French students worth the same amount, and then we'd have our new ratio. Okay? Think about that, work on it on your own, and come back when you're ready to check your answers. All right, let's take a look here. So let's see. For this first one, students who prefer classical to students who prefer techno, that's 4 to 12. Students who prefer hip hop to total number of students surveyed, that's 15 to 53. Now for this one, we figured that one out together. And how about this one? Ratio of adult dogs to puppies at the park was 3 to 2. And there were 12 puppies there that day. So 12 puppies. Oh wait, I put the 12 in the wrong place. The second number is about puppies, so I'm going to put the 12 there. And this is a missing value for now. On Tuesday, 15 adult dogs were at the park. 15, so this was Monday. On Tuesday, there were 15 adult dogs. Okay, so adult dogs is the first number. On Tuesday, 15, okay, what is the difference between the number of adult dogs in the park on Monday and Tuesday? Well, on Monday there were 3. On Tuesday, there were 15. So you could say there are 12 more, but I think for coming up with another ratio, what you want to find out is what was it multiplied by. So there are 5 times as many adult dogs on Tuesday as Wednesday. Okay? All right. Now for this one, I set you up with the first ratio, and what I did next is I said, okay, well, I know what 2 hours, how many gallons I can fill in 2 hours. What if I found out how many gallons I could fill in 1 hour? So if I divide them both by 2, I get 1 hour equals 900 gallons. And the other calculation I made is I said, well, let's subtract what's already in there from what has to be in there to make it full. So I subtracted 1,800 from 4,500, and I got 2,700. Now, if I know that I need 2,700 more gallons, and it takes 1 hour to do 900 gallons, then I know it's going to take 3 more hours to get it full. Okay, so I'm almost there yet. The question is, at what time will the pool be full? Well, they started this, it was 11:30 when they started to finish filling. So it's 11:30 plus 3 more hours. So 12:30, 1:30, 2:30. So your final answer for all of this is 2:30 p.m. Oop. Yeah, 2:30 p.m. Okay, now let's take a look at this problem. So what we noticed here, we had this 8:5 ratio. And then we wanted to know what happens if there's 72 taking Spanish. Well, I realized that 8 times 9 equals 72. So that means that each of these are going to be worth 9 instead of being just worth 1. And whatever I do to this top, I have to do to the bottom. So that means each of these are going to be worth 9 also. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 9 is 45. So if there are 72 Spanish students, then there are 45 French students. Make sense? Okay, let's take a look at the next page, which has a very sweet doggy on it. Okay. Sally used all of the paint shown to make a certain tint of orange paint. How many pints of red paint should be mixed with 24 pints of yellow paint to make the same tint of orange? I notice that they don't bring the dog up at all. What is the dog even doing there? Is the dog named Sally? Is the dog the one mixing the paints to get the tint, that certain tint of orange? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, let's see here. So what we can see from the picture is that there are 3 pints of yellow paint and 4 pints of orange paint. So what I'm going to do is say, okay, well, my original ratio here is 3 to 4. Does that seem right, doggy? That's right. Okay. And if you add those two together, that's 7, right? So far they've used 7 pints of paint. Now they want, let's see, how many pints of red paint should we mix with 24 pints of yellow? Which one of these represents yellow? The 3. So right now we've got 3 pints, but what if we had 24? How many pints of red would we have to put in there? So it's just that same thing of looking at the 3 and saying, what did you have to do to the 3 to make it 24? Whatever you did there, you've got to do the same thing here. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32. Okay? Now, if Sally uses the same ratio of yellow paint to red paint, how many pints of yellow paint should she mix with 16 pints of red? So you're doing the same thing, just substituting in for the red value instead of the yellow value. We know that it started at 4, and now we're saying 16. So what do you do to 4 to make it equal 16?
Multiply it by 4.
Good. So that means you're going to multiply that by 4, and that would take 12 pints of yellow paint. Okay, that's that page. Bye, doggy.
Bye.
Wait, turn it back, turn it back, turn it back. Yeah?
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Okay, I'm going to turn the page now. Okay. Turn it back, turn it back. Okay, we got to get on with the math, all right?
All right. Have a good time. See you later.
Okay. Is your name Sally, by the way?
No.
Who's Sally?
Some girl that mixes paint.
Okay, well, we'll see you later. Okay, let's take a look at this page. All right. Essential question. Use multiplication to find equivalent ratios. Okay, one way, make a table with equivalent ratios. Equivalent ratios are ratios that express the same relationship. So multiply both terms of the original ratio by the same number to find an equivalent ratio. We know this. Here's the number of basketball players compared to the number of soccer players. 16 to 48. Equivalent would also be 32 to 96. That's if you doubled both of them. If you tripled both of them, you'd have 48 to 144, and so forth. Okay? There are 192 soccer players when there are 64 basketball players. Yes, there are. Okay. For every 16 basketball players in Crystal County schools, there are 48 soccer players. If the ratio remains constant and there are 64 basketball players, how many soccer players are there? So that's what they just solved there. And here they are with a little bar graph. Okay, so another way is to use multiplication. Multiply both terms by the same non-zero number. And that's what they did there. This is more efficient than making a table every time you have to find an equivalent ratio, right? Okay. Oh, say it with me. Try it.
I'm getting better at it.
If you extend the table above, how would you find the next ratio of basketball players to soccer players? Okay, so we left off with 64 and 192. And we were going by 2, by 3, by 4, so let's go by 5. 5 times 16 is 80. And 5 times 48 is 240. So that would be the rest. All right, convince me. What is the relationship between the number of basketball players and the number of soccer players in each column in the table? Well, let's take a look. 16 to 48, 32 to 96. If you reduced these to like it was a fraction to lowest form, you would find that it would be 1 to 3. So that means that there are 3 times as many soccer players as there are basketball players. Okay? And that's that. All right. We are done for today. I hope ratios are going well for you. Feel free to ask questions or save them for our meetings. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.